businesses were all creating their own custom solutions. And so everybody was out there creating their own custom solution because that was really what was available.
Yeah.
And then we see this huge shift towards SaaS tools. When we have a business that was doing all that manually before, and they were spending in man hours to manually do this work, around 130,000 euros a year. And so that went from spending 130,000 euros to have this manual work done for these products, data that they needed to have up to date, to spending zero or whatever they're paying for their PIM subscription. You would be surprised at some of the international brands that are so well known that do not have a PIM system yet. And even they are shocked when they tell you. And if you want your business to grow at a good rate, you need to be able to create and manage new products easier. So like I said before, we've got businesses that have doubled their time to market, businesses that have 20x their time to market by managing their information in a tool in Plytix.
Hello and welcome everyone to the show. My today's guest is Trever Chidester of Plytix, and we're gonna talk a bit about PIM and DAM and the reasons for the surge in its popularity in recent years. Trever, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Yeah, so can we maybe start by, I don't know, if maybe you could start by introducing yourself and talk about your role in Plytix, and let's start here.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Trever here. I'm the director of partnerships at Plytix. I've been with Plytix now for about 5 years, and we've seen some pretty extraordinary growth over these 5 years. A lot of our listeners, of course, are going to be Shopify users or very familiar with Shopify. And I think we've taken, a trajectory not quite near the magnitude of Shopify, but on the similar path, trying to offer a tool that's easier to use and easier to implement. And we've really seen that growth over these last 5 years. I've been kind of at the front seat for that, and it's been quite an incredible journey. So I'm excited to dive in a little bit to why that is, what that's, the reasons for that, and talk about that today.
Yeah, it's a great place to start, and it would be cool to unpack the reasons for this surge in interest in PIMs. But maybe let's start with just the definitions for those of our listeners who are not aware of PIM or DAM.
Yeah, so a PIM is a product information management system, or a DAM is a digital asset management system. There's so many acronyms in this business, so it's always hard to keep track of them all.
Yeah.
But these two tools, they're really more or less just databases of product information and digital assets or media. And so a lot of businesses are I always say, doing PIM in some way, shape, or form, but they just don't have a dedicated solution for it. So a lot of businesses will do PIM, they'll manage their data in spreadsheets, or maybe in the back end of their Shopify store, or maybe 100 different spreadsheets, different silos in different people's computers. And so what a PIM does is it gives you that one single source of truth, one cloud-based solution that the whole team can access whenever they need to download information or even just look for information about their products. So it really offers that one place for everybody to go for their data.
And are PIM and DAM separate tools, or are they usually, I know, integrated somehow?
Yeah, so when I first started, it very much was kind of a separate thing. Digital asset management has been around for a little bit longer, I believe, and they've traditionally been separate tools. Plytix combined those just because it makes sense. Usually, when you're managing your attributes, is what we would call them, or your data sets alongside your product. Think color, size, material. You're also going to need to manage the media that you have associated with that product, especially as we get to this even more and more visual way of buying than we would have had before. I mean, I think over 5 years ago, you might have only needed to have one image, and now you're expected to have an image, 10 images, all different angles, a video, 3D images.
User-generated content, this kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Like what you would see on social media, like lifestyle type images. Media has just become such an important part of selling products online. Having a place where that's integrated right with the product information it just makes sense.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so let's go back to this topic of this search of PM popularity, because when I look back on our sales calls in the agency, the PIM is something that appeared in our conversations from time to time. But fast forward to 2025, it looks like everybody's talking about PIM, and there's no sales call without conversation about product information management system. So can you show us, maybe elaborate on what are the reasons for this growth in interest?
Yeah. I've had kind of an interesting perspective with this because when I first started at Plytix, I was a sales rep. I was an account executive, so I was one of our first account executives on the team, and I probably would say about 90 to 95% of my calls, I spent the first 20 minutes explaining what a PIM was. Because most people, they came to us not looking for a PIM solution. They came to us having searched on Google, how can I better manage my product information? Okay. Or there's got to be a better way than spreadsheets to manage my product data and get it to my customers.
Yeah, so the pain was there.
Exactly. So that was the really interesting thing, especially from a salesperson's perspective, is that they came to us with the pain, but they weren't aware of the solution that was there. They followed the path that we kind of laid out for them online with our marketing team of, if you have this pain, come and talk with us. And that, as a sales rep, was very satisfying because we were able to talk with people who were interested in our solution on a daily basis, because they saw how it was going to help them with things that they were really struggling with. But it was a lot of education. We had to educate a lot of businesses, especially, when we're talking about B2B businesses that might not even have digitized their records. I can remember talking with one business in Portugal that was still doing everything on paper. They hadn't even had everything online. So they were still keeping track of all the product data for all of their, I think it was textiles and sheets and whatnot. They were keeping track of it all on paper records. So for her, the product data manager and e-commerce manager, for her to get that information digitized in a PIM so that she could easily get it to her website was just a game changer for them. So we saw that trajectory go from, I would say, 2000s to 2003, where businesses were still kind of unaware of what a PIM solution was, to now it becoming a very obvious piece in your tech stack that everybody knows they need. I think most now businesses are aware that they need a PIM. The problem is that a lot of the PIMs that have been in the industry for the last 10, 15 years, they've created a space where it's difficult to implement a PIM. It's expensive and it's time consuming. It requires a lot of resources. And a lot of times your chances of actually successfully implementing it aren't that high considering how much you're paying for it. So it's created a lot of baggage around the concept of PIM as well, which is created this space, especially in this last year, 2 years, of a lot of businesses that know they need a PIM, they want a PIM, but they're just not satisfied with the options that are out there or the way at which they could implement a PIM because of the horror stories that they've heard or their own horror stories.
Yeah, we get it a lot from our customers that when we are talking when they are considering a PIM and they hear from PIMcore or Akineo implementation partners that it's gonna, I know it's gonna take 6 months and it's gonna be more expensive than replatforming to Shopify.
Exactly.
It's just no go for them.
No. Yeah, and that's, a lot of these PIMs, they came around the time when only enterprise businesses were really using PIMs. I guess if you can think about in the mid 2000s, early 2010s, a lot of the businesses that had the need for the PIM at that point were large international enterprises that had a lot of data and they needed some sort of master data management system. And that's kind of where PIM came about. But we've seen that it hasn't, other than Plytix, hasn't evolved really to this world that Shopify has created, where anybody can create an online shop, within a matter of minutes.
Yeah.
So you have these businesses that are, paying $500 a month or whatever it may be for Shopify, and then they're being asked to pay $2,000 a month for a
Precisely.
PIM just to
Yeah.
manage the data for their store.
Yeah. Okay, so would you say like so what has like basically changed over these 2 years? So what is the reason for people to, like, I don't know, have this awareness that they need a PIM? Would you say does it have something to do with the AI, or or maybe is it just like the complexity of the business, the fact that the e-commerce just one single channel won't do, and you need to be like present in multiple not even channels, but basically you need to sell wherever your customers are?
Yeah. I mean, it's a combination of all of it, and then it's actually had kind of an interesting timeline.
Mhm.
You can say like around 2020, even a little bit before that, is when you start to see multi-channel come around, where businesses are starting to
Mhm.
realize that they have to sell on multiple different. They need multiple different touch points with their customer. They can't just have a website. Because if you could think about it back again, like 20 years ago, a lot of businesses had their brick and mortar stores, and then they started to sell online. So they had a web shop. And the web shop was basically just a digital version of their brick and mortar store.
Mhm.
But now with all the marketplaces, all the different places where you can engage with your customer, like even places like TikTok or Instagram, but then of course web shops. So many people are buying on Amazon. So if you're not on a marketplace like Amazon, are you getting all the exposure that you need for to your customers that you want?
Mhm.
Um, and so this growth of this multi-channel commerce has been, I would say, like the first big jump in why everyone needs a PIM.
Mhm.
Because there's a lot of really cool tools that's going to make managing your information in Plytix easier if you just have one Shopify store. But the pain is magnified tenfold when you're managing that data, not just in your one Shopify store, but also in 5 different marketplaces and in 5 different languages. Um, that's when you need one central source to manage the data, so that you can kick it out to the different places that it goes.
Mhm.
So I would say multi-channel is definitely the kind of the first big catalyst for it.
Mhm. And what are the other reasons?
Yeah. So I mean, then you get to this AI revolution, and this is
Mhm.
the big one, of course. The most important thing with AI is having a good source of information to provide to any kind of AI tool that you're going to be using to create and generate information. At the end of the day, you want to make sure your voice is your branding, and your brand voice is being uh, created properly by the AI.
Mhm.
And so it needs like a good database of information for that to begin with. And then once you let the AI go and create all the information, it needs somewhere to go. It needs that information. If you're going to be creating new short descriptions for 5,000 products, that data has to go somewhere. It needs to sit somewhere and make it easy for you to go through and validate. Get some human eyes on there to make sure that it fits and it looks right.
Mhm.
And a PIM is a perfect place to do that. It's, again, we still have that multi-channel thing being a very important piece. And then we're adding this AI element where there's just so much content, and users need an easy way to be able to sift through that content and make sure it's good quality. That is another reason why PIM is becoming such a big thing, especially in the last year.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask about one more thing that I feel like is important in the context of having a PIM, like upcoming regulations, especially in European Union, like digital product passport. Can you maybe? I know that it is still. I mean, the deadline is there, the scope is unclear, so it's pretty much something like a typical e-commerce project.
Yeah.
But yeah, can you tell us maybe what you need to expect and how PIM can help merchants navigate that?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's a bit of a moving target as well. The deadline has changed a little bit. They've adjusted a little bit of which verticals are going to be the ones that first roll this out and which ones not. Um, excuse me. The latest that I've heard is In 2027 is when they're trying to make sure this is fully rolled out. In the first vertical is fashion, and then they're going to be rolling this out with like furniture and electronics and different verticals like that. So. Mm-hmm. If any of you that are listening don't know what the DPP is, it's the Digital Product Passport, which is a new regulation by the EU that all products that you're selling need to have some sort of record of its manufacturing, its environmental footprint, and this sort of information for the buyer to be more aware of the impact of this product and its development. Mm-hmm. And so this is more information that's being required alongside all of the products. And for businesses to be compliant with DPP, they're going to need to have a place to organize and manage that information, and then be able to get it to the consumers in an easy way. The what we've seen, and we're talking right now with a partner to help develop the technology for this, is creating QR codes that are updated with information that you have in the PIM. That can then almost be like little mini sites that users can scan a QR code that's printed on a shirt tag or whatever it may be, and then get the information, of course, with the carbon footprint, like I said, and all the manufacturing information. Mm-hmm. Really, it's just more information that's being required and needed to be shared from the manufacturers and distributors.
And I believe that the reasoning behind it is that the reason for implementing this in European Union is for the continent, for the EU to be as green as possible, right? Is like that's the case?
Yeah, so they're trying to create some more what's the word for it? Transparency with the development process of products, which is really, it's a very interesting thing because right now you're looking at a new generation of buyers, Gen Z, who's more and more aware of the environmental impact of products, and it's actually a really important part in when they buy and what they're looking for in products. So although this is a bit of a feels a little bit forced upon brands coming from the EU, it is very much an opportunity for businesses to showcase the hard work that they're doing to create a sustainable brand, and has the potential to win them a lot more business by showcasing how well they're doing things and showcasing those facts with the consumers that are really interested in it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Okay, so it looks like we have like 3 really good reasons for talking about PIM. Yeah. And I would like to maybe rewind a bit and talk about this pain that you've mentioned, like when your team is talking to customers now, what are the other problems that they are they articulate, they are aware of? And do you think that there are maybe some hidden costs that they are not aware of, when it comes to not implementing the PIM?
Yeah, definitely. Again, kind of as a working with my sales hat as being an account executive before, it's tricky business being a PIM, being in the PIM space with regards to pretty much every business that sells products, not even ones just online, but a lot of the ones that sell, definitely all the ones that sell products online, and even some that don't, they need a PIM solution. And these businesses, they look very, very, very different. We're talking about B2B businesses that are manufacturers that only sell to distributors. They might have their own website, but they mostly do all their selling through B2B sales. These guys need a PIM. And the reasons that they need a PIM is different than a seller on Shopify who has their one main Shopify store and maybe selling on Google Shopping as well. And their reasons are different than an international brand who's selling on 10 different markets on Shopify, and then also on all the marketplaces. And then they also have a B2B team that's doing the same thing within the company. So there's always a lot of different reasons why a PIM is important for a business based on kind of the type of businesses that they are. Mm-hmm. Perhaps it would be best to focus a little bit on the Shopify users and what that looks like for them.
Definitely. Let's feed the search algorithms and large learning models with the proper keywords.
I think that sounds great. Let's talk about Shopify users then. Shopify is a really interesting one because there's, I think I've mentioned before that PIM has been really difficult to implement for a while because it ends up being a bigger undertaking than what most businesses want to do. At the end of the day, they just want to be able to more easily manage their product information. And what that looks like is if you can look at your Shopify store and you go to the products tab, that area is where you do a lot of your product editing, or where most businesses do. And you have options like editing right within the view. There's a bulk editing option that kind of looks like a spreadsheet that you can like drag down, but you can't really select which products you want to bulk edit from that view. And it makes kind of wanting to make edits in bulk to your products not really easy. And that seems to be like big pain points for businesses that are trying to work quickly and get their products to market faster and make sure they have less errors. So another thing I'll also mention is that a lot of times businesses don't even know, if you're selling 10,000 products on a store, you don't even know which products don't have all the information. You can search through with the filters to find, all of your t-shirts, but you can't search through products that say, okay, I want to find my t-shirts that actually don't have the t-shirt tag because I want to make sure that even though they're in the t-shirt category, they also have their proper tags. Tag management in general is really tricky within Shopify. And so when we just cut it down to these really basic things, Plytix is really making it easier for businesses to manage that information by giving you a PIM, an easy-to-use product information management system that allows you to do bulk edits on any selection of products that you want. You can use multiple different filters to find a selection of products and then choose which ones you want to edit. Then you can look at which attribute you want to actually make a change, and then you can make a bulk edit to that attribute for all the products that you selected. So not like the order, it doesn't really matter. You just choose which products you want and you can make that bulk edit. And then things like variations, pretty much everybody that sells products online has variations. And within Shopify, those variants, they're managed really at a line by line level. And for you to have to go and make a change to the name of a color, for example, on a product, maybe you're changing blue to cerulean, and that's a change that you want to make across all of your products. For you to be able to do that within Shopify, you're going to have to go individually in all of those and make that change. And so Plytix offers a tool where you can manage data at the parent product level that is going to pass down to the variants. So if you're looking at country of origin, that's going to be an attribute that's managed at the parent level. You can make that change at the parent product, and it's just going to push its way down into all the variants automatically. So you don't need to worry about keeping your variants up to date anymore. You just make one change at the parent product, and it will update across all of your variants. So those are a couple of really very simple, but those types of changes are what allow businesses to get their products to market faster. And I think that's something that is really important. We've got a few customer success stories on our website, and you can see kind of the overarching theme there is these businesses that are getting to market 3 times faster, 20 times faster, because their team's able to create new products in their store. They're able to launch new products and get them to the market. I'm also going to mention one more thing that I think is important here, which is product completeness. When you want your products to rank properly, they have the right SEO. When you want to make sure that your customers have all of the information that they need to feel confident in buying your products, it's important that it's complete. And there's no real way in Shopify for you to be able to see if your product is complete.
Yeah, I agree. Like I think this bulk edit in Shopify has obviously improved over the years, but
definitely,
managing large amounts of SKUs is not this optimal way to do. I mean, you can extend its possibilities with some meta fields and store all these attributes within Shopify, but it wasn't it's not a tool designed to do that. And even if you had managed somehow to store everything there, it's not going to be very convenient to connect to other tools, to fetch this data from Shopify to other tools. Definitely that's makes it complicated here.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting point because I think what I was showcasing a little bit, because it all kind of adds up to each other. So what I'm showcasing here was when you're just selling on Shopify, there are really helpful things within Plytix that can make managing your information easier, even just for a Shopify store. Mm-hmm. But like you just said, most businesses don't sell just on Shopify. They sell on various different marketplaces and channels. And a lot of businesses that are using their PIM or using Shopify as their PIM, they're having to create all these random meta fields. Like I've seen an obscured amount of meta fields in some Shopify stores because that's the only way that they can host the information that they need for Google Shopping or for, whatever marketplace they're also selling on, and they're using Shopify to kind of host that data. Mm-hmm. And that's not a good practice. You don't want to have all the information that's not relevant for Shopify in Shopify. Yeah. In Plytix, you can have just the information that you need for Shopify, go to Shopify, and then you can create as many other attributes as you want and have those ready to go for the other sales channels that you're selling your products on. Mm-hmm. So it really does help kind of just keep Shopify nice and neat and clean with the information that's relevant for your store, not bogged down by 500 meta fields for all the other places you sell.
I think the first roadblock that comes to mind in terms of using Shopify as a PIM would be storing translations in meta fields. It was not designed to do that, and it should be kept somewhere else. So it's not like the optimal solution.
And they've been doing a lot of work on that as well. But in a way, it seems siloed, the work that they're doing on the translations and on the markets, which doesn't create for a very smooth user experience when you're editing data. Like if you're editing your product information in English, you want your Spanish information right there alongside it. And having it all in, Plytix has it all right next to each other. So you can manage that data a little bit easier and then make that easy to send in.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's say that somebody is convinced already, and what are the questions that I need to ask myself, in order to establish if it's a right moment for me as a merchant to implement PIM? What are the criteria or the signs that I need to be thinking about it?
Yeah, definitely. So as I think it's an interesting thing that we're in this interesting kind of middle period right now where PIM is still being thought of as a project that needs really serious evaluation and then a period where we're prepared to go through an implementation. Mm-hmm. And we're right at the cusp of ready to just completely disrupt that. So if you look at a lot of the other SaaS tools, or even just a lot of the other applications that you have in Shopify, there are some really basic order management applications and different applications that can make your life easier in Shopify that you don't need to prepare or block out 2 months to be able to implement that in your Shopify store. That's exactly what we want. We want a business to say, oh, I need a better place to manage my data. In the Shopify store, I can download the Plytix app, and it's going to create my PIM in an instant from the information that I have in Plytix. This already exists. We're already live on the Shopify app store for you to be able to do this. And then you have all the information that's in your Shopify store in your PIM. And so that type of process it's supposed to be as easy as it just sounds, is to be able to get that PIM ready to go so that way you have that new place to manage your information. Mm-hmm. Currently, it doesn't look like that for 95% of the businesses that are looking to adopt a product information management system, because that's how things have been for so long. But like I said, we're right on the cusp of really disrupting that, so that adopting a PIM is something that you can do in a Friday afternoon.
Yeah. Yeah, and I must agree. When we first encountered Plytix in one of our projects back in the day, I think it was this shoe company from Germany. We were where's the catch? It's so smooth and easy to get going, and we were like surprised because we have these previous experiences with like Akineo or PIM Core or like or other tools, and like this level entry level is like really, I think it's like aligns with Shopify's strategy to be like really nimble and smooth and easy, just to to go from the like from day one, have something.
Yeah, and that's it. And I think another thing that you just mentioned that made me think that a lot of these other PIM tools, they force you to undertake this huge implementation because there are so many functionalities to their softwares that could be beneficial to a business, but they're just too much to chew off, and they don't exactly address the issue that they have. And there's a really good example. I was talking with a business the other day that is all they're trying to do is just more easily manage their translations in Shopify. And so I was talking directly with the e-commerce team. It's a pretty big brand, and the e-commerce team loved what they saw. But they also saw that there were some other functionalities. The price point also made them think that they need to kind of get more out of this solution. So they started to loop in their B2B commerce team. And then it's kind of turned into this very large evaluation on if this suits the needs for the entire business. And it's still kind of hanging in the air at the moment. And that, I think, is what we're trying to avoid by moving towards not just a tool. Like, we're trying to move the tool and the pricing of our tool to a place where you can pick and choose what functionalities you need to solve for your current issues right now. And then if you decide after a year where your e-commerce needs are being met and somebody on the B2B side of the business thinks it's interesting, then you can add on other parts of the features, other parts of the platform to grow with that. But what we're seeing a lot of the times now is that e-commerce teams, the brakes are putting on for implementing a tool like Plytix because they're pulling in different parts of the business to make this a big undertaking. And so what we want to do is really segment our tool so that it's easy, like I said, for somebody like that's managing the Shopify store to download the app on a Friday afternoon, start paying, $99 a month for them to be able to more easily manage their data in Plytix and send it to Shopify. And then as that usage grows, the team can see, oh, actually, they have tools in here for creating online e-catalogs. This could be really interesting for our B2B side of the business. And then we can start to group in those and add on more features to their Plytix experience. But we're really the only ones that are doing this right now. And I think it's going to disrupt the space quite a bit because I think it's what businesses need.
Yeah, especially with the adoption of AI, there is some research that shows that people pay for tools like I don't know SAP or Salesforce, and they use only 10 or 20% of that software. So it seems like fair that you can select just this puzzle that you need. And the other thing is actually that using with the development of AI. It will be easier for companies just to build this. I don't need the entire Salesforce. I need just one functionality. It's probably going to be easy to build this software as a service for me, internally.
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head there, and that's why businesses like ours, we have to adapt. Because if we don't, then it's really funny, or I think it's really interesting that we've seen this world where, in the late 2000s and early 2010s, businesses were all creating their own custom solutions. And so everybody was out there creating their own custom solution because that was really what was available. Yeah. And then we see this huge shift towards SaaS tools. And Shopify is a great example of back in the day, if you wanted a website, you pretty much had to go to a developer and get a custom developed e-commerce site. Yeah. Shopify has come in and just completely, SaaSified this market for e-commerce platforms. And what you just said, I think, is so accurate that if these SaaS tools don't get their act together and make it easier for people to implement and buy their tools, then we risk seeing that completely reverse and go towards a custom market again, because AI makes it so easy for you to make a tool by itself.
Yeah, precisely. Okay, so would you say that there is some scale, or I don't know, maybe a number, like some thresholds, some that I don't know, they would say that, I don't know, if I have 100 product, 1,000 product, or maybe it's just a matter of, I don't know, scale of the organization in terms of headcount or revenue or whatever, that would be like a clear sign that there's no doubt about it. I need a PIM.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I always say like there's kind of like a Venn diagram where you have a lot of products that are very simple is kind of on one side, or you have few products that are very complex or sold on a lot of different sales channels, and that's kind of on the other side. And then in the middle are people with products, like a lot of products, and also have high complexity. And all of those fit the PIM space. So if you have high complexity, low amount of SKUs, a PIM is going to be helpful. If you have a lot of SKUs with low complexity, you're managing a lot of information on those SKUs, you're going to need a PIM. And then absolutely, if you have a lot of products and a lot of complexity, the only one that I think it might not be is maybe if you're selling like 50 products on your Shopify store, and you really only sell on one channel. I explained a few things at the beginning about how making those bulk edits, figuring out if your products are complete, those things are going to be helpful for a business like that. But 50 products managing manually is not that difficult. So that might be something as the business grows to maybe like 200, 500 products, that it starts to become difficult to manage that data manually and individually. And that's really where you just start. Okay, now is a good time to get a PIM, and then that spectrum goes all the way to you would be surprised at some of the international brands that are so well known that do not have a PIM system yet, and even they are shocked when they tell you.
Oh yeah, I've seen I've heard stories, so maybe I wouldn't be that surprised. Okay, would you say that there are some like must-have features when you need to have in a PIM, when you compare different solutions, and maybe going deeper into this topic, is there some functionality that sets Plytix apart from its competitors?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, at the end of the day, the point of this tool is to be a depository for information and media. And so you're going to need like basic functionality should be things like filtering through products to be able to find what you're looking for, applying bulk edits, having some sort of attribute data modeling is really useful for businesses. It's not 100% necessary for smaller ones, but as the business grows, being able to say, these types of products that I sell have this set of attributes. Think a chair has a certain set of attributes, and these types of products, maybe like a lamp, has these set of attributes. So a tool that gives the user the ability to differentiate that data model is really important. Managing digital assets, managing media in general, like I mentioned before, is just becoming so important for businesses. So a really user-friendly tool for you to upload images and associate them with their products and move them around, even do some AI enhancements on those images, background removal or resolution upgrades, things like that are really important. And so that would be like all of those, not all, but some of the functionality that you want to be able to do when you're working within the PIM. And then it's really important that the PIM is easy to get data in and easy to get data out. And so there are a lot of different ways to do this. A lot of businesses move towards API for this so that they can just kind of set this up in the background and have a developer create connections between softwares. But A lot of businesses don't have tech teams. They don't have developers on hand to be able to create APIs. And you don't really have too much control over what data is being sent as a user who doesn't know how to code API, if you're just using API to connect everything. Mm-hmm. So tools like data feeds for import and export are really useful for businesses who want to be able to have a little bit more control over which products and which information they're sending or receiving, because they're very low, they're no-code solutions to be able to connect platforms, and it designed in the interface to give you the ability to choose what data you're sending. Mm-hmm. So I think those functionalities are really important. And outside of just like specific functionalities, I think you cannot underestimate user friendliness, because most businesses don't have tech teams or product data managers specifically. Managing the product information 90% of the time falls on a marketing manager or an e-commerce manager. And they probably have a good background in tech, but they're not developers. And they need a tool that is easy to use and user-friendly. Shopify has done this incredibly. Shopify has created this space for businesses to be able to almost no code create e-commerce platforms, which 10 years ago you would need a team of developers to create. Right. And that's exactly what we've done as well, is created this no code solution for business to be able to manage their information better without having to incorporate some kind of big database management IT team to create a data structure that then you apply to certain products that can be quite clunky and hard to use. So we really, I think user friendliness can't be understated there for those marketing managers.
Yeah, I agree. I think like this, the UI and UX of Shopify was like probably one of the, if not the single most, advantage or the like growth drivers. And talking about like users who like handle PIM, is it something that is like, I don't know, is it responsibility of a one person like within the company, or multiple instances, so like multiple users or teams work with this solution?
Yeah, we really see Plytix as a collaborative tool. It's a space where usually the business has different employees that are managing different parts of the product's journey, or different parts of the product's information that need one place to all come together. So if you can imagine, you probably have a graphic designer who develops and creates images and manages the digital assets for products. The marketing manager might manage information for the B2B side of the business that's associated with the product, the information that they might need to sell to retailers or to their distributors or customers. E-commerce managers need that data for the websites or marketplaces. And then you have like logistics folks that just need information that they want to go into the product and see. Sales teams, a lot of times if there's like a B2B sales rep, they need to be able to access data within the PIM to sell products, create presentations, customer success as well. A lot of times you need support to get access to the product so that they can look at data sheets if they need to answer questions about instruction manuals and things like that. So it really becomes a place where everybody needs to be able to access, because they need that information alongside the products. And then a select few are going to need to be able to edit different parts. And the editing is probably a collaborative thing. So they're going to need to be able to comment on products and say, hey, this is the updated version, but I'm not sure. Can you have a look over and see if it looks nice? It's similar to what everyone's doing in like a Google Sheet or in a Google Doc. You want to create so much of us now are working asynchronously. We're not sitting in meeting rooms anymore, kind of developing, a set portfolio and then it being ready to go. Most of us are working online. And so you want to be able to have a space where you can tag a user and say, hey, this product needs a second look, and have your colleague jump in to make those edits.
Yeah. Okay, so I would like to switch gears maybe to the next topic, and I was wondering about this project, like in terms of implement, maybe just let's just look at this angle of implementing the solution. So my questions here are how much time it takes, from day one to like fully operational PIM, and what can we do to prepare, what are these stages, what are the possible roadblocks or common failures when it comes to implementing PIM. A lot of questions in one.
No, that's okay. No worries. This one is it's interesting because I guess I'll give kind of two separate answers to this because, like I said before, Plytix is moving and is there in a lot of ways to the Friday afternoon implementation. I think I'm going to start calling it that. And so right now you can download the Shopify app, the Plytix app on Shopify, and create your Plytix account and downloading all the information automatically from your Shopify store, and having a PIM that is completely mirroring the information that you have in your Shopify store. Mm-hmm. So for all intents and purposes, you can have a ready to go PIM solution for Shopify in a matter of minutes. Mm-hmm. And so we are really kind of, like I said, shaking up the space with that because traditionally PIM implementations could take up to 6 months where they're incorporating and pulling data together from different sources. And so I would say when it comes to just Shopify and managing information there, we can get you implemented so quickly just by that app store. It really is as simple as it sounds. But there are a lot of businesses as well that, they sell on Shopify, but they also sell B2B. They have multiple different web shops. They sell on different marketplaces. And so that data all lives in different places. And so the work that needs to be done is pulling all of that data out and getting it into one homogenized data set that you have in a tool like Plytix. And so that does require a bit of massaging. I would say that process probably takes around 2 weeks. And a lot of times it's either working with one of us or, an agency like you guys that help businesses pull that data out of the different sources where it lives and get it into a tool like Plytix. Mm-hmm. So it's one single source of truth.
Okay. So compared to like to have it maybe on paper or on so comparing it to I don't know Akineo or PIMcore, we can have some basic solution in days. But the maybe full integration with all the channels, if we use this product feed to connect to all the marketplaces, would you say it's I don't know, we can measure it rather in weeks than months? Cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say in Plytix, you can get a full implementation done within 2 to 3 weeks, and a lot of that is because. What we're trying to do really well is helping businesses manage their data better. We're not trying to do all the things that are associated with your products. I think that's something that PIM businesses have gotten, the traditional PIM has kind of gotten a little carried away. Is they're like, oh, we can be a PIM. We can also be a B2B e-commerce platform. We can also be a marketplace integration tool. We can all these other tools that they're kind of adding on to the PIM experience. What we've seen is, one, it causes the implementation to be dragged on and a lot of times fail. We've also seen that businesses haven't been able to keep up with the change in technology in all these facets of their business. So a lot of times one thing gets left behind. And we live in a world where if your tool isn't updating every month, you're probably forgetting about a technology that's just come out. So we see businesses that, they might have spent the last year developing and focusing on their marketplace integrations, and they let their PIM functionality fall behind. And so we really believe in this plug and play, creating this tech stack of tools that are specialized in what they're supposed to do environment. Like I said, we're not, instead of making you pay for, $50,000 a year for a tool that does a lot of things, but not a lot of things well, we're looking at giving you a tool that you're going to pay, like I said, $100 a month, that you're going to be able to do exactly what you need, manage your data better, and then have that connect easily with the other tools that also do what they do really well.
Yeah, I feel that should resonate with Shopify merchants as it's basically the promise that Shopify makes to their customers. Like, focus on running your business and leave the technology to us. And it's pretty much the same with Plytix.
Yep, that's exactly it.
Okay, Trever. So, if you could maybe, I think it has been already said in some like between the lines, but maybe if we could maybe summarize like this, ROI of having of PIM and how to measure it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think like there's a lot of baseline benefits when we're talking about PIM when it comes to like having fewer returns, your information, you have more data on your products and your customers are more informed buyers. So you have fewer returns. I mentioned before, like time to market is a big one. Businesses, if you're not growing, I guess, is it failing? Is that what they say? Businesses, they have to grow. And if you want your business to grow at a good rate, you need to be able to create and manage new products easier. So like I said before, we've got businesses that have doubled their time to market, businesses that have 20x their time to market by managing their information in a tool in Plytix. And if we're looking at like dollar items, you can associate those that dollar ROI to, like I said, different facets of where PIM is benefiting. You can associate those dollar ROIs to the minimizing returns. You can associate it to like having more products available on the market, or expanding to a new market and having more sales on a new market that you didn't have before. You can associate all of those to having a PIM implemented. One specifically I think is really interesting, which we haven't really talked about too much. We have an ability to create product data sheets within Plytix for you to have like data sheets alongside your products. When we have a business that was doing all that manually before, and they were spending in man hours to manually do this work, around 130,000 euros a year. And so that went from spending 130,000 euros to have this manual work done for these products data that they needed to have up to date, to spending zero or whatever they're paying for their PIM subscription, which is not even anywhere close to that. So it's that kind of ticket item makes having a tool like Plytix worth it.
Cool. Okay, as we're coming to the end of the conversation, I would like to ask you about one more thing. And there is obviously a topic that is like really hot right now, and everybody's talking about it, and it's obviously AI. And I would like to touch on this a bit, because I know that there are some AI functionalities like built into Plytix. And I would like for us maybe to discuss like what are these features, but most importantly, why is it better to have them like built into PIM rather than using like some external software to handle that?
Yeah. I mean, the AI revolution is incredible, and it's hard to keep up with. Things are changing faster and faster. These 5 years, we've seen some incredible growth in our product, but what we've done in this last 6 months has almost surpassed everything we've done in the last 4.5 years. It's incredible, and we really are. We're dedicated to being an AI first tool, and we've already implemented some really cool things within the tool, but there's some even cooler stuff coming. And at the speed that they're coming, I'm sure by the time this podcast comes out, a lot of it's already going to be ready to use in the tool. What we can do now are things like connecting to ChatGPT and at an attribute level, generating short descriptions or translating content within the PIM for your products at an attribute level. something that's coming out in the next week is your ability to do that at bulk. So I mentioned before how important bulk editing is. Now you can imagine how important bulk AI generation is. So it's going to be as simple as selecting the products that you want, creating a prompt for, hey, create me a new short description with 200 characters that's optimized for Google Shopping and uses our tone of voice based on the other attributes that are in the PIM. And then that kicking out 500 new short descriptions for all of the products that you have. Or even, reference this image and, highlight, new features that's like in a bolded list for these products based on an image that we have. So these types of AI content generation are going to be a game changer when it comes to enriching products, especially for businesses that are like drop shipping and reselling products. Because a lot of times that process before was a nightmare. Businesses would have to scrape websites trying to get information because getting it from the suppliers was nearly impossible. And now you don't need to scrape anything anymore. You can just have AI generate the content from scratch. That's going to be huge. I think what I'm most excited about is AI agents within the PIM because AI content generation is something I think a lot of businesses are doing, and it's not really going to separate businesses because you can pretty much get AI generated content in a lot of different places. But what we're going to be building within Plytix is an AI agent that's going to allow you to basically have like a product data manager in the PIM that you can say, hey, I need to get these products ready for Amazon. I'm just uploading these, 15 new SKUs. Fill out all the product's information for this. These kind of like tasks that used to fall on the marketing manager and the e-commerce manager to update information in the PIM can be done by an AI agent in the tool. So I think that's going to be a really, really big one.
So you could basically, tell him to, increase prices for each product by 10%. And
exactly. That's a perfect example.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's going to be...
It's pretty similar to Shopify Sidekick, and we've already been playing with it, and it's amazing. So
that's exactly it.
Yeah, that's definitely something exciting and definitely a tool worth having. So Trever, like some final words of wisdom or just advice for our listeners who want to start implementing or evaluating the needs for PIM. What do they need to know, or what is the main question they need to ask themselves?
Yeah, I would say pretty much everyone listening probably knows by now that they need a PIM solution. And so I urge you to forget all of the baggage and everything that has come along with these traditional PIM solutions and take a look at Plytix. We'll include a link to the Shopify app. And so you can get right to the app, download it, play with it, get a free account, explore it a little bit. We're trying to make this so easy for users to be able to get a feel for and then implement. Like I said, the Friday afternoon implementation is definitely going to be a thing now. And so that's what my words of wisdom are. Forget how that PIM is a difficult thing to implement because Plytix is going to allow you to manage your product data more easily and you'll be able to implement it on a Friday afternoon.
Amen.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so if somebody wants to, ask you have some follow-up questions or wants to, learn more, what's the best way to contact either you or Plytix? Where should they go?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm on LinkedIn, so you can more than happy send me a connection and send me a message on LinkedIn. I'm always looking at that. Also, email Trever@plytix.com. You're more than welcome to shoot me a message. And yeah, that's one of the cool things about Plytix is, we're still a very tight-knit team. So I sit alongside all of our team and I can shoot messages to whoever needs, whoever we need to talk to. So if it's a sales rep or customer success manager, I'm more than happy to tap somebody on the shoulder and get some help. So feel free to get in touch.
Thanks. Amazing. Okay, Trever, thanks for accepting the invitation. It was a pure pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, it's been great. Thank you very much for the invitation.
Thanks, guys.